How much dopamine does a Tibetan monk need in order to sit through a 10-minute video? Trick question. It depends on the video. This video is one of the ones that he can sit through. Okay, but seriously, dopamine withdrawal is a real thing, and the side effects can be pretty intense sometimes, and you don't want to be falling back and relapsing. So I'm going to teach you in this video how to deal with the side effects so you don't end up relapsing. By the way, if you want to sit through more videos of me talking about how to level up your life, become a high-value man, then you came to the right place. I know there are probably hundreds of other guys that you could be following, but how many of them illustrate their points by drawing on a tablet? Let's dive in. When people get dopamine withdrawal symptoms, what's essentially happening is they're going through a phase, and they have never dealt with this phase before, so they don't know what they should do. So let's say this line on the graph is dopamine and this line is time. And when you end up doing activities that are really high in dopamine, what ends up happening is your dopamine's like really high. And then when it's time to go do something, like for example, read. So let's say this line is reading, way lower in dopamine. You go through this phase here. And what this phase is basically, all it is just boredom. And when you go through this boredom phase for the first time ever, you feel like these huge withdrawal symptoms from dopamine, like anxiety, stress, nervousness, all these things. And this is all created by boredom. You've never experienced boredom because you'd always turn your attention towards something. And as humans, we need these periods of breaks. We need these periods of like high dopamine and low dopamine activities, but we also need to just keep it at a baseline. We shouldn't be just switching from high to low all the time because we're not meant to do that. And basically, when you go throughout your whole day, what you're doing is you're going from going on social media to going on Netflix to going back on social media to doing something else that's high dopamine related. And once you remove those things, now you're left with these weird boredom phases where you're just like in this never-ending state of boredom because you're so used to having so much dopamine. So, what do you do? How do you deal with this? You just have to become more comfortable in this boredom phase. But eventually, your new normal is going to be down here. And you're just going to end up being in a state that's less dopamine driven. The truth is, and something that's going to help you understand this situation a lot more so you can deal with it, is that you're going through these withdrawal symptoms because you're much the same as an alcoholic or as a drug addict, and you have to deal with these withdrawal symptoms. If you were to go to, let's say, for example, Alcoholics Anonymous or a drug rehabilitation center, they're going to tell you that the withdrawal symptoms are just the withdrawal symptoms, and that's what you just have to deal with. So you have to understand that this is something that you're just going to have to deal with in order for you to be able to come out brighter on the other side. Now, one of the biggest things that are going to be holding you down is you thinking that you're recovered and that you can now go back to those activities without being an addict. You can't. Because what alcoholics would tell themselves is, hey, you know what? I'm recovered now. I'm good to go. I'm going to go to the bar and I'm not going to have any drinks with my friends. I'm just going to hang out with them. That's it. But they go into the bar and they end up getting slammed. And then boom, the next day they end up drinking again. That's just what alcoholics do. So let's say, for example, you're quitting masturbating. You're not jacking off anymore. You think that it's going to be okay. You think that you're going to just be able to do it once. And then boom, you end up just doing it every single day. So you have to understand that you're recovering from something. You're going in through this recovery mode. You have to rehabilitate yourself and then go back into normal day life. It's not a process where it's like, oh, I'm going to be okay after this to continue doing the activity at a normal human amount. It's not possible. And that's why I've completely removed social media out of my life, because I always end up falling back into it and spending hours per day in social media. I'd rather just not deal with it at all. It's something that I don't need in my life. If I were to download Instagram and put it on my phone again, then I would just end up falling into that spiral. And I know this because I've done this so many times, and I just don't want to go through that. So just understand that there is no recovery. when you end up telling yourself that, oh, I'm just gonna be okay just doing it once. That's your stupid brain telling you that, because it doesn't understand as well as your thoughtful brain telling you, no, you can't do this because you have a problem. And so going through this recovery phase, just understand that. And I know that there's people, for example, who quit smoking weed, and then they'll go and smoke weed on the weekend. But you had a problem. You're doing this every single day. If this is something that you're doing every single day, then you're an addict. And if you think that you can just control yourself on the weekend, you're wrong. Eventually, it's going to catch up on you. You're going to end up doing it on a Friday, and then you're going to be like, oh, screw it, I'm going to do it on a Thursday, and then you end up doing it every single day again anyway. And trust me, I'm saying this because I know I've been there. And otherwise, I would not be telling you this, that you have to just treat it like recovery, that it has to be out of your life, completely removed out of your life. And this goes for people who drink alcohol, who do drugs, anything. It has to be gone. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to eventually recover fully and not have to think about these things all the time and not have to go through these crazy withdrawals ever again. So I hope you guys like this video. This is part 2 of the dopamine withdrawal series. And if you haven't seen part 1, it's right there. And by the way, May 15th, I'm releasing the new course, dopamine withdrawal course, where you can use a ton of downloadable stuff, and it'll help you through these phases. And like I said, May 15th, ready for you to download. See you in the next video.